I'm Melanie O'Connor. Welcome. I'm delighted to present a panel of women around the firm for International Women's Day. We've got a selection of managers and directors joining us today and going to share a bit of background around their careers so far and sharing some advice and tips for other women aspiring to senior levels within their firm. So what we'd like to start with is we'd like you to introduce yourself, your current role, and just a little bit of a career background on your journey to get to where you are today. Angela, would you like to start?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Angela Cannan. I'm an audit director in the Limerick office. So I suppose my journey in BDO, I started my career in a small firm, and I actually stayed in small firms, I suppose, for maybe the first kind of 10 to 15 years of my career. I started in BDO 7 years ago. Initially started as an audit senior and have progressed over the course of the last 7 years. 2 years ago, I was appointed director. So I'm delighted to be here, Melanie. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Melody.
Hi, I'm Melody Mngcibe from South Africa. I work in the audit department, specializing in financial services as an audit manager. I'm a chartered accountant with 8 years of experience in audit and financial reporting. And I did my articles at a small practice just like you, where I believe it sort of shaped and molded who I am today. Thank you.
Thanks. Kira?
Yeah, so my name is Kira Hanrahan, so I'm a director in the Financial Services Risk and Advisory team. My background to my career to date is when I finished school, I studied business studies and I worked in a building society part-time, and that kind of really piqued my interest in financial services. So then I worked in one of the pillar banks and stayed in banking then for a number of years. And then 6 years ago, I joined a professional services firm, one of the big fours in financial services. And then I joined BDO then 18 months ago. So far, I'm really and truly loving it.
Thanks. Deepshika?
Yep. First of all, I would like to thank you, Melanie, for having me here at this esteemed and inclusive panel of women. And it's a privilege to be here, join you all, the diverse and empowering assembly. To share a bit about my background, I am from India. After finishing school, I kind of decided to take a slightly different path as compared to many women, many girls back home in India who kind of lean towards science or arts. So I kind of followed my dream of following commerce and business, and I pursued Bachelor's in Commerce honors alongside my Chartered Accountancy course, which apparently is one of the toughest courses back home, and which I came to know along the way when I was doing it. Apart from that, I mean, I'm really grateful for the kind of support that I have and the mentors that I had. I kept learning and developing myself throughout the journey, and kept pushing myself, and took a lot of challenges in various challenging roles in various big fours. And that's how kind of evolution, with the evolution and learning, I kind of grew. And here I am sitting here with all of you in Ireland, and a moment that I believe my younger self could have never imagined. And it's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now, so let's like to dive a bit deeper potentially into the latest career progression, your latest promotion. What was that experience like? What was the process that you went through? Was there any particular challenge that you had to overcome? And was there anything different about that step than potentially some of the previous steps that you might have gone through? We'll come to you first, Deepshika.
Yeah, so when I was a senior a few years back, my role, so I put it like this. I was an individual contributor. I kind of worked towards it. My only task was to put my head down and deliver the best I can. But as I progressed, I moved up from my role of a senior to a manager. I kind of realized and I learned that one can grow in their career only if they focus, and not just by developing themselves and delivering what they have to do, but also by mentoring other people around them along the way. So that's something that I kind of learned while I progressed from a senior position, from a senior to a managerial role. So that evolution, and as a leader also now on my teams or the teams that I've led recently, I kind of take initiatives to ensure that I include them and I mentor them and I focus on them. And I believe it's a symbiotic process. If I mentor them, I kind of also learn to begin with. I can learn a lot of things, and I learn a lot of things from my mentees. So that's something that I have learned during the progression from a senior to a manager.
Thank you. How about you, Kira?
Yeah, I think similar, to be honest, in terms of what we've just discussed there. For me, the move into the director role, the biggest challenge for me was the leadership aspect, to lead out on the team and to evolve my leadership style so that the team feel more empowered and that they can be involved and kind of lead by example as well. It's that shift that you're the one providing the direction and the support to the team, and to me that was the biggest challenge, to evolve my style to get the best out of the team.
Yeah. What was it? Is there any kind of specific examples within there that you found different or you had to evolve specifically?
I think, I suppose for me personally, my role is a part-time role, and I think that was a big shift as well, is that to be able to lead the team and the team to still keep going while I wasn't there. And kind of the big piece I had was to make sure I had a strong management team and a strong support system in the team, that I could still progress while I was there, while I wasn't there. And I think for me that was instilling how I lead among the team, so they felt empowered that they could still do it while I wasn't there. And I think that was a big shift for me.
Cool, thank you. How about for you, Melody?
So same with Deepika, when I moved from senior to audit manager, I struggled a bit with the delegation of my responsibilities, which I believe is an important skill for an audit manager. I wanted to do everything by myself. Even when I was reviewing files, I wouldn't raise the types of queries that I believe the person that prepared it would learn from. I would always fix it on my own, which was a bit strenuous for me because I couldn't now meet the deadlines that were set. But over time, I got to learn and adjusted more into the role.
Nice, thank you. How about for you, Angela?
I think for me, I came to BDO because I wanted to progress my career. I had been in small practice, and I guess that progression it's not really a thing there necessarily. So you kind of hit the senior role and you do your work and nothing really kind of moves forward. So I very much came in the door here saying, I want to progress, I want to move very quickly up through the ranks, and thankfully was given the opportunity to do that, was literally handed a wonderful group of people. I had kind of had this idea of what I wanted. I really wanted a kind of collaborative learning environment. And so it was just almost kind of just such a wonderful experience to be able to actually create that environment that I kind of aspired to myself. So, and even to this day, I mean, you know, I try and give the audit teams as much, you know, I guess, you know, kind of almost the trust and inspire model, you know, send them out, let them do their thing, be there for them, answer their questions. But, you know, so I have definitely created that kind of situation. So, you know, I think that's been really really rewarding the last couple of years.
Thank you. I think we've touched on some interesting themes across there. The theme of empowering a team, learning to delegate, and there is a real shift that's needed from being that technical expert to managing a team. So I know we've touched on that. Have there been any other challenges you've navigated as you progress through your career, and how have you managed those? So I'll go to you first, Angela.
I suppose I kind of expected to be asked about challenges, and I suppose I keep coming back to kind of this fundamental thing where the job itself is a challenge. You know, these are serious jobs. They are busy. They are all the time. They are deadline driven. Anything can just like leap out at you from anywhere. So I think, you know, it's just almost remembering why you're here, why you want to be here, you know, even on the bad days, remembering that you do actually love it. And, you know, so I don't know whether that's actually answering your question, but to me, I think, you know, I don't really have a tale of a big challenging event, but I just think, you know, keeping that inspiration and that motivation every day, you know, kind of deals with a lot of the challenges as they come along, for me anyway.
You agree. Remembering why you're doing it's important. Yeah. How about for you, Melody?
So for me, it was actually back in the day when I was still going to school. So I was doing my articles, so I was going to work while studying, and I struggled a bit with juggling the two. It was quite challenging for me. I needed to meet my deadlines at work, but I also had to make sure that I'm performing well in my studies. So for me, I think through hard work and perseverance, that's how I made it. So I know most of our trainees are sort of going through the same thing, where they're also studying and going to school, and it can be challenging. But what I would advise them is to just look at the end goal, what you want to achieve, and focus on that. And you reach your goals.
Really good. Thank you. How about you, Kira?
I think for me, the biggest challenge was really when I wanted to start a family, to be honest. That point in my career of what direction does my career go in terms of what am I willing to sacrifice? Can I still progress and can I still maintain balance? And for me, that was the most challenging time of what does my future look like? So that was a critical time because I still wanted to progress, but I still wanted to have balance. And I've always enjoyed my career. I've always loved my job, 90% of the time. I have the hard days. But it was always something I enjoyed and I liked to do. But from a very young age, being a mom was always the number one job that I wanted. And that was always said in me as a child that that's the thing I wanted, and how to maintain the two. So for me, that was the biggest challenge. And I struggled as to how I was going to navigate it, to be honest. It took a lot of soul searching and discussions with people and people I worked with, people from home, as to how it would happen. So for me, I decided that it wasn't going to impact my career. I was going to make sure I could do both within reason. I'm sure my husband would probably disagree that I do both perfectly, but anyway, for me it was very much around, I don't think my career needed to stop growing just because I decided to have a family. And the ability to be able to do that was something I was very upfront about, and I was very honest with people about, that this is what I want in my career and this is the way I think I can do it. And for me, that was one of the big draws of BDO, that I could fully be myself and be open and honest about what I wanted in my career and how I was going to achieve it. So that's where the part-time piece, I was very set that it was going to be a part-time role, and that's what I wanted. Yeah. I managed the full-time piece with my daughter. I have 2 children with my eldest, and I just felt I was always chasing my tail at weekends. I was trying to cram in all the activities with her, maintain a house with little people come with an awful lot of washing, so I was cleaning clothes, everything with it. So for me, how I overcame that, I just set my boundaries on what it was that I wanted, and thankfully I work for an organisation that encourages that. I wouldn't say allows, because it should be allowed, but encourages it and allows us to maintain that balance and still fulfil what is important to us and really gives us purpose. And for me, that's my family, but I don't think my career should be halted for that either. So, and it hasn't been to date.
Definitely not. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, whether I do both, great, is the question.
That's all right. How about you, Deepshika?
Yeah, like Angela mentioned, initially navigating through the role of a CA, where you kind of was very challenging, because it kind of the kind of work that we are subjected to and the kind of time pressures that we have in certain situations. I mean, it was challenging. It's definitely one of the biggest challenge. But one particular challenge that I really want to talk about here is when I transitioned from like a single person to a married person, and I had kind of dual responsibilities to look into, and there are different roles that you play professionally, as well as because you've grown from a senior position to a manager position and you've married, so you have different roles like a daughter, wife, daughter-in-law, and then you have to take care of your aging parents. So all of those kind of dual responsibilities kind of was challenging initially, yes, definitely, but I saw my mother do it because she was a working professional, and she was, so I kind of got a lot of hints from her to navigate through it. And while overcoming that challenge, I kind of saw that it's always, I mean, learned during the process that if you want to grow, you have to step out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And secondly, if you want to kind of be respected and looked up at, you have to ensure, you have to prove yourself on multiple occasions. That is something that I've realized during the process. And what I feel as a woman, I can only talk about myself, that when you're challenged and you're well supported at the same time, you kind of give the best. It kind of brings out the best in you. And it kind of, in fact, how should I put it here? Kind of bring out the resourcefulness and the creativity to handle the situation. Yeah. So as a woman, I feel that if I'm challenged and I am supported at the same time, I can do the best that I can. So that's my take on the challenges that I have.
Thanks. Lots of nods happening there. I think we all agree with you there. Yeah. So there's a couple of things touched on there. I know, Melody, you mentioned, your goal and where do you want to go, and then you sort of touched on the importance of having that support, and then also seeing the example, Dishika, from your mum and what she went through and navigating that, having someone to look up to or having a direction of travel or seeing someone like you in the position that you want to be in does help. I'm curious, what has the role mentorship has played on your journey, and for people looking for a mentor, how might they go about finding one? I might start with you, Deepshika.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. It's an essential thing of having a mentor, and I feel that if you have a mentor, you have a shortcut, or should I say, a cheat code to rapid progression. Because why do I say that? Because someone who has walked the path that you really want to walk on in the future, kind of they can give you the ideas, the pointers, or maybe they can help you out with some of the challenges that they faced during that path, while taking that path, and how they overcame it can help you a lot, right? And it can make your life a lot easier. So that is something. So mentorship for me is really important. Thankfully, I was blessed, and I am blessed with a lot of mentors and guidance. I've got a lot of guidance throughout my career, and I feel that especially when you feel out of your comfort zone and you have someone to lean on in terms of guidance, in terms of help, that's really important. That makes your life a lot easier in terms of navigating through that challenge. So I believe having a mentor is an essential part in career progression for anyone, not just for women, for anyone. And especially what I want to say is I'm a firm believer of paying it forward, or I should say paying it back, because then I take it upon myself that I have to mentor, because I have been privileged enough to get the mentorship that I wanted during my journey. So I would like to pass it on to the future generation, the younger blood who are going to step in, or who have stepped into the workforce, and yeah, mentor them, because like I've mentioned, it's a symbiotic process. You don't just, it's not a one-way process of you mentoring, you learn a lot from them. So definitely mentorship is a really important aspect in a career progression. Yeah.
How about for you, Kira?
Yeah, I fully agree. Absolutely agree. For me, mentorship has been fundamental to where I am today, and I think it's fundamental for people in their career progression to have that role model, someone to look up to, that support, that guidance, to bounce the smallest ideas to the biggest ideas of, and that encouragement, people to encourage you to be yourself and be your best self is priceless, to be honest. I really think mentors play such a big role. I know for me, early in my career, probably show my age here, but maybe the financial services sector was predominantly male, and not many females in senior positions. And when I originally moved in, there was two in particular that were in senior positions, and for me, they were fantastic role models. They put a lot of time and effort into the teams, particularly on the female side, to lead out, to show that it can be done and this is how we do it. And that support to me was crucial. And again, because I have been so lucky personally and professionally in terms of mentors and people to look up to, I do think it's very important that we pay it forward. So I would absolutely encourage people, male, female, to have a mentor. I think it's really important to have that support system.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you. How about for you, Melody?
Yeah, so for me, it's the support that it brings. It got me to be better equipped to take on the business world. And in most cases, I mean, if you're straight from school, you don't really know where to go, what to do. So I think if you have a mentor, it sort of assists you, it provides the guidance that you need. I believe it's important for everyone to be on some kind of a mentorship program if you want to progress in life, to achieve your career goals, because of the support and the guidance that it brings.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. How about for you, Angela?
Yeah, it's funny. I think the topic of our moms has come up already. Yeah. I don't think any group of women ever has a conversation without somebody like telling what your mom thinks. And I think as women, we always, from a very young age, we have that support, we have that mentorship. And I think we get very used to having it. So it's great then when you go into a professional environment that you almost kind of, not saying your mentors here become your moms, but you have those people that you will gravitate to. And I know in the Limerick office, like we're so blessed. Like in the audit department, there's 3 partners, and it wouldn't even occur to me that they weren't 100% in my corner. Like they just. Yeah. And then as well, we have I don't know, did you do it this year? Yeah. That we had like the mentorship program as well, which was really interesting to have somebody who didn't necessarily know you as well as as the mentors in the Limerick office, who, you know, was able to kind of almost, you know, throw out a question there that would be like, now go back to your other mentors and discuss this. So I just think you know, it does work really well, and I think, like, as the ladies have been saying, like, you know, we are all training staff, so, you know, young women and young men at the start of their career who are looking to us, whether we like it or not. They, you know, they all know you, they know what you're doing, they see how you're reacting to things, and they see you standing up for yourself, and they see you, you know, going forward, and that makes them think, well, sure, why wouldn't I do it? So I think it is brilliant, like, how it kind of just ebbs and flows, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, it is a little bit like, you know, when you're a mother, then your kids sort of mirror what you're doing in a way, in that when you're in a leader position, your team mirrors what you're doing as well. And yeah, we definitely, the mentorship program that we have for people at the senior leaders within the firm, it's great to have that sounding board and getting a different perspective from someone that isn't, you know, immediately a line manager as well, which I think is helpful, because sometimes you can get into a bit of a schema in seeing things a certain way. So having different perspectives is definitely very helpful.
Yeah, I think that piece of challenging your thought process and making you look at things a different way in a different perspective is really, really valuable. I know I definitely found an immense amount of value out of that.
I did too, because no matter what, like, when you're your own mentors, I suppose the people you gravitate to as mentors are so in your corner. It's almost like, you know, they nearly wouldn't see if you had this gaping failure over there, which is wonderful.
Yes.
You know, it's wonderful to have that, but it is good then to have someone who kind of, you know, throw the spanner in the works too if it needs to be done.
Oh, it's brilliant. Makes you think that, consider things you hadn't previously considered in a different way as well. So it's always very helpful. So I've got a question for each of you now. I'm going to come to you first, Kira. I know you touched on the journey that you went through, you know, navigating being, you know, a director, being part-time, starting your family. Were there any kind of key aspects of potentially your values, what was important to you, that you had to review during that process? And, you know, to come to terms with, you know, that answer that you got to, that I can do both. Was there anything specific that you could share around that to help others navigating that same challenge?
Yeah, I suppose for me, I really had to sit back and say, right, what is it I want out of life?
Yeah.
To be honest, it really got to that point with me of like, what is it that I want? What's going to make me happy and what's going to drive me? When I was full-time, for me, there was probably an element of resentment with me that I wasn't getting to spend as much time with my daughter, and that really drove my thought processes of, okay, how can I fix this? But I think what was important for me is that I knew I could fix it, and I think that's the role of having a mentor and having a support system there to know something is achievable. Yeah. And that was the big driving factor for me. I was like, well, I can do this. And I think seeing people challenge the status quo and look at things in a different way was very important. I think COVID played a part as well in all that for people, where we all looked at life, we stood back, and life stood still for a while and gave us time to evaluate. So for me, it was really around figuring out what really made my heart full and how was I going to get that, and setting those boundaries and sticking to it, to be honest, and knowing what I wasn't willing to negotiate on. And that really evolved into just open and transparent conversations and being very upfront on what will work for me and what won't. And thankfully I work for a partner and I have a team and work for a company that was very accepting of that. They were like, yeah, it can work, you're right, so we make it work. So for me, it's around looking at all the possibilities and not having that self-doubt and saying, well, I can make it happen. Yeah. That to me was really important.
It's definitely the COVID, the silver lining was that flexibility, that chance to reflect, to really think about what's important and what's not, and make adjustments. Yeah. And that, I think that's really that point that it isn't a one size fits all. You can do the role that you want to do and do it in a way that works for you. And I think that possibility is an important one to highlight. Lots of different, you know, views and different people in those positions that have done things that, you know, achieved your career goals, but also not lost sight of what's important to you as well, and that it is possible.
That was really important to me, was to remain true to myself, because when I put my head down at night, it's me that I answer to, and I have to be able to answer and be true to myself. So that flexibility piece was really, really important to me. But I suppose one of the challenges for me as well was I also have to be flexible. So I'm given great flexibility in work. There's times where work ebbs and flows, where there's a bit of a busier time. And if I have to give a little bit more, the thing that was really important to me is the fact that I still remain true to myself, because the team know, well, Kira's given extra and I still get that time back. And I think that's really important, that I'm seen as me in here and I'm seen as me in the team, and what I believe in is embraced and encouraged. And I think that's really important in an organisation.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. I'm going to come to you next, Melody. You mentioned the challenges that you've navigated progressing through your career, as we all have. We've all had our challenges at various different stages. I'm curious, what was the most important thing that you learned in that journey that you make a conscious effort to share with your team now going forward?
For me, it's to never stop learning.
Yeah.
There is always somebody in the room that's more experienced, that's sometimes probably even smarter than you, but you shouldn't look at that as some kind of a threat or some kind of a competition. Yeah. Take the opportunity to learn from these people, and you never know, one day you'll be the most experienced person in the room, and now the circle starts over and over again. So for me, it's just transfer of skill, transfer of knowledge, and never stop learning. And then another thing that I learned as well is to live your life to the fullest. I'm going back to her point where she was saying she had a bit of resentment when she was in her full-time position. For me, I want my team to not, their life shouldn't revolve around their work. They need to find something that they love other than work. So for me, I like to dance. So if there's anything that involves dancing, sign me up, I'm there. So I know we're going through a busy season right now. So as soon as that's over, I sort of encourage them to utilize those leave days, travel, do something that you've always wanted to do. I think when you come back, you'll be more reset and ready to take on the world. In their case, take on the working papers, but yeah.
Oh, very good. Thank you. I think that shows the importance of having a really good company culture that allows you to bring that whole self to work and encourage people to have, passions and skills and hobbies outside of the career, and supporting that as well. I think it was something pretty early in my career I didn't know existed. So being in a place where that's actually possible is very cool, and showing the progress that I think not just we've made in BDO, but that we've made across the world in terms of allowing more to be possible. So very cool. Thank you.
Sorry, on that, I think that is really important, and it doesn't necessarily just have to sit around family. It's people's passions and what drives them, and seeing the person behind the desk, I think, is really important. That while we all work together and we spend time together, there's a whole person that sits behind that desk, and it's recognising that and allowing that person to come to work, I think, is really, really vital and so important in the culture, and we see that in BDO, which is amazing.
Yeah, we do. Thank you. I'll come to you next, Angela. So you started your career in sort of smaller practice for about 10, 15 years, and then moved into a bigger firm when you really wanted to make sure you were progressing in your career. How has that smaller firm experience shaped your leadership style, and how are you applying that now in the director level position you've got today?
I think, definitely a conversation we have a lot in our own team kind of is around range and specialization. So I think while we are an audit team and we are auditing, I very much like to see the lads develop range when they're, so I like them to do the accounts prep jobs. I like them to do the corporation tax computations. I like them to be talking to the co-sec team about all the different things, because I think that, that if you're looking to send well-rounded accountants out into the world, I think things like that is invaluable. And I think that BDO has a really good mix of that from a training perspective. But at the other side of that, what is so great is it also has that specialization, whereby I know an incident occurred there just before the corporation tax deadline this year, where an R&D kind of situation arose, and we were very stuck, but the R&D team here, absolutely, it wasn't even we'll help you with it, it was we'll take care of it. So it's great to have that behind you. So I do think, I'm very much of the mindset that, there's no harm in knowing a little bit about a lot of things, and then knowing the same way, general practice in medicine works. Know enough so that you know when to bring it to the next level. So I really try and encourage that in the team, and I think they like that. They almost kind of view as accounts prep jobs as a reward for getting through the big audits. You know, a bit of kind of time to, like, you know, almost, I guess, desensitize a bit from the big, you know, mammoth engagements that they're working on. So I think as well in small practice, like it's very intimate. Like you end up knowing the people you work with very, very well. Those people become very central in your life. They become very important to you. Like the people I trained with are still the people I go back to time and time again. So I like to kind of create that on my team. Like I'm always saying it to my trainees, look to the trainee to your left and to your right. These are, you know, the formative people in your careers, you know. So I do try and kind of create an atmosphere where they work together a lot, and they, you know, they help one another as much as they, you know, talk to the people above them, but that they're actually collaborating with themselves as well in their training.
Very good. Thanks. Yeah, I started my career in smaller businesses as well, and it teaches you to somewhat be a jack of all trades. And that does have benefits when you go forward and then you find the areas that you want to specialise in. You've almost got a bit more of an idea of what's possible and what's out there to know where you want to go and where your strengths are and things like that. So very good, and probably provides a bit of variety for them too.
Yeah, definitely, the spice of life.
Very good. Deepshika, I'm coming across to you now. You've had the amazing opportunity to be able to work across multiple different countries in multiple different regions and experience lots of different cultures. How has that experience shaped you, and how does that benefit you in your role today?
Yeah, so to start off, I worked in 3 geographies. I worked in India for the Indian auditing market. Then I worked for the US counterpart in the US market, and then I'm here, obviously working here in the Irish market. So yes, all of the 3 regions kind of have their unique skills that are required, and they teaches you different lessons. All of the 3 regions. So I started off working in the Indian market for the Indian audit industry. And I was a fresher, I was a newcomer, and back then there was very, very less emphasis on work-life balance or work-life integration, so to speak, or there was no concept of flexible work arrangement. So it was pretty, so the idea was you deliver, there's a timeline, there's a deadline, and you put your head down and work hard. So that was the whole idea in the Indian market, when that was a challenge. And as a person, you kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone and you deliver, right? You work late nights, and not particularly I'm promoting or I'm encouraging to do late nights, but I believe that I think in a way it kind of teaches you to do the hard work. It does teaches you how to kind of put yourself out there and deliver if required. So not occasionally, it should be an occasional thing, but it kind of does teach you a lot of art. So in the Indian market did teach me a lot of hard work and equipped me with technical skill sets and made me a team player. Now coming to the US market, when I worked for the US market, it was more, I would say, straight, active, and I'm unable to put it here in words, but more of assertive, the more assertive as to what they want. So the US market did teach me, apart from the technical stuff, the US GAAP stuff, it did teach me how to do work around the project management aspect, how to develop your interpersonal communication skills around it. So they were more direct and assertive, but it was a challenge, but kind of it taught me a lot of things. In terms of project management, in terms of communications and all of that, and dealing with different people. Now coming to the Irish market, I'm pretty new here. So far I haven't felt like an outsider at all, and I feel the culture is beautiful. The Irish culture is beautiful. The work environment here is so inclusive, and I can turn up to anyone for help and guidance, I believe. And so far it's been a wonderful experience working for the Irish industry and especially with the BDO.
Oh, very good. Thank you. That's brilliant. So I suppose, as you may or may not know, the theme for the International Women's Day this year is inspiring inclusion. So I'd like to go through, this one's for each of you, to think about and share just some of the ways that you and your team inspire inclusion across all levels. Might go to you, Angela, first.
Yeah, well, I suppose, look, I guess maybe you'll agree or disagree with me, but the audit department is fairly unique in that you have your trainees who are going through as you brought up earlier, they are working a full-time job and studying for a master's level qualification. Yeah. They are working hard and they are working together. So it almost like inclusion just kind of is a byproduct of that. So we, in that way, we're very, very lucky. As well, BDO then has a very, very strong sports and social thing. I know my team in particular, we love going to table quizzes. So we do things like that. But I think too, just, it is really important to me that people are exactly who they are. Yeah. I don't think you get far in your career if you're hiding who you are. I don't think anyone can do that long time. And, so I think sometimes it's just, noticing people around you and, asking a question that maybe, gets people feeling like, well, okay, she noticed who I am. She gave me an opportunity to showcase my personality. She doesn't just see me as a worker bee that's going to be auditing away there for the rest of my days, and she'll have forgotten about me as soon as I leave. Because that's not at all what happens. I could tell you the name of every person I've trained over the years. I could tell you who they are. I could tell you where they went, what they did. So I think just, really just, I guess it's the audit department, it is just an environment where people are included because of the work, but I think that does turn into really good friendships amongst the group, which is lovely to see.
Yeah, very good. Thanks. It might be an Irish Aussie translation, but table quizzes, is that like Trivial Pursuit?
No. Yeah, they do.
Is that like
quiz nights, in a pub or whatever?
The Irish one has the pub in it.
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah.
No, they really enjoy them, and it's great. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, the thing I pulled out of that there's a lot of really good insights in there. It was interesting, that idea of when you have the freedom to be who you really are, that inclusion is a natural byproduct of that. That's kind of what I pulled out of that. But anyway.
I hope, I would really hope that everyone in BDO does feel that, because, I suppose, look, I'm probably as Irish as you're going to get on this, but, I would really hope that people who come to BDO, don't feel any different to anyone else, because that's actually something that would keep me awake at night worrying about if I thought there were people out there
do that
like
will intro. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, cool. How about for you, Melody?
Yes, so as she mentioned, the audit department is actually it's set up in a manner that's welcoming to everyone. We have, most of our team members are from different and diverse backgrounds. There is a proper balance in the management team between male and female managers, from managers to senior management. And what I've noticed is that it sort of brings new ideas. In life, people tend to want to bring change based on their background and their upbringing, which I believe it's very important for any organization. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It was something that occurred to me while you were speaking there. It was sort of back to your point a little bit as well, Angela, was this idea of, hoping that people feel that they are, free to be themselves and all of that. I remember a conversation I had with Angela, actually, where I said, do we have any non-binary people in the firm? Because I would hope that they would feel comfortable to be who they are as well. Because there is no difference ultimately. We're human beings at the end of the day. And I think when you understand that common humanity that we all share, I think it helps somewhat with that as well. But it is, it's, I think we'd all agree that, we'd hope everyone in the firm has that feeling that they're free to be who themselves and they're included as much as anyone else. Yeah.
There's just no point in doing any of it if we can't do it as ourselves. We just, it's who we are, and you have to be unapologetic about that in life, so sorry, it's something I'm just so passionate about, just me, so I actually could talk about it all day, so I'll stop.
Oh, that's very good. It's something I've always done in interviews where I've thought I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear or, try and get the job. I'm going to be who I am. And that way, because I think sometimes if anyone's under the illusion that they need to, tell people what they want to hear in those environments, then there's a point once they're in the role where that inauthenticity can wear on them a little bit. I'd rather not get a role and be myself than get a role because I told them what they wanted to hear. Because I think that sets you up for success in the roles that you take on. Yeah. How about for you, Kira?
Yeah, similar theme, to be honest, about being your true self. I think it's really, really important, but I think that's driven out of culture. And I think people, you have to show yourself and be yourself for the team to feel that they can be that as well. And I have worked in other organisations where I probably haven't been my true self. Maybe that's based on the culture and maybe what I was seeing from the top down, and that I felt I couldn't embrace my full self. I think that's really important. For me, that's very important to show on the team, because I really think that's how you get the best out of people, where people are themselves, they enjoy what they're doing, they enjoy the people that they work with as well. And I think that stems as well from on teams, irrespective of level, that everybody's voice is important, everybody's idea is important, and everybody is given time to give the ideas or whatever, no matter what level you are. I think that's really important, because as a management team, we can sit there and make decisions, but really it could be maybe the trainees that impact that decision, and to have their ideas and thoughts on it only makes for us to create a better work environment. And I think that's really important too, is everybody has a voice and everybody should know or absolutely be fully encouraged to use it.
100%. Yeah. How about for you, Deepshika?
I mean, I completely resonate with all of your thoughts. So for me, I think I come from a culture in India where we are very diverse. I mean, for us, unity and inclusion is all about different. I mean, we have different languages, we have different genders, we have different ethnic races, we have different languages that we speak, and different people. And what I feel is that's my view. If you want to really talk about inclusivity, I mean, giving the freedom to speak, like you've brought at that topic, giving the freedom to speak their mind is the best kind of action that you can take as a management, as a leader. If you give them a free space to talk and communicate, and they don't feel judged or some kind of restrictions. So that's kind of an environment that we want to create for everyone. And as a leader, we should put more emphasis on creating a space, striving to create a space where they can come in and speak their minds. So that is something, for me, that's the inclusion that I kind of also try to incorporate in my day-to-day work life. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we try and do that in marketing as well. It's just everyone's voice, everyone's opinion counts. And I think it's important that they have that space to speak and that they're listened to.
And sometimes it brings the best of results. Yeah, you get different perspective, different fresh ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, ladies, for sharing as much as you have, and being willing to be open and sharing some of the the highs and some of the challenges that you've gone through in your journey to get to where you are. I have one final piece, and it's just to say, any final thoughts, any advice to younger women as they're progressing through their careers, or potentially advice you'd give to your younger self? Because sometimes it's similar. So I'll start with you, Deepshika.
So, I mean, I'm not at that stage where I can give advices, but yeah, an advice that I've got from my parents and my mentors is always think like a leader. No matter what, always think like a leader. Whatever position, whatever stage you are in your career, if you think like a leader, one day you will become one. And also, when you think like a leader, it eliminates all sort of noises around you, the gossips, the negativity that surrounds you, the kind of, whatever. The focus is more on the bigger picture rather than focusing on the smaller thing and wasting your energy, which will do no good to anyone. Yeah. So it's always think like a leader and act like a leader, and eventually you will be one soon. Yeah. So that's from me.
Thank you. Well done. Yeah. How about you, Kira?
It's probably, if I was to say it to myself a couple of years ago, it's probably believe in yourself and that self-doubt piece. And I know it's easier said than done, but don't let self-doubt hold you back, because the worst thing you can do is fail, and when you fail you learn something and it'll progress you even more. So for me, it's to believe in yourself and know you can do something, I think is really important. And as well is to build out your network. I would encourage everybody to build out their network. The more perspectives you have on things, the more guidance, the more support, the more you learn, and I think that's really important. So for me, that would be something to focus in on.
Definitely, you kind of learn more from the stuff from what you stuff up than what you do well. So don't be afraid to stuff up, because that's how you learn. Yeah, that's it. It's very good. Thanks. How about for you, Melody?
Yes, so for me, again, it's keep learning, never stop learning, keep striving for greatness, and eyes on the prize. Eventually, you get to where you want to be.
Brilliant. Thank you. And for you, Angela?
Yeah, no, I think pretty much just agreeing, like, you know, there's enough people out there in the world that will put you down, that will, you know, make you feel bad about yourself. Don't do that to yourself. And when you find the people that lift you up, make them your people. You know, build your network around you, you know, create a positive environment for yourself and let everybody else off. Just, you know, create a world that you enjoy, and as much as you can, stay there.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time. I think a lot of people watching this, man, woman or other, will be inspired by your stories. And I hope, like, if they take one thing away from today, I think they're better off. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.